Think Jack Nicholson is all about fast, flashy cars? Think again. His car collection is filled with unexpected choices that defy everything we know about his Hollywood bad boy persona. Want to know what these surprising cars say about Jack? Let's break down the rides that completely threw fans off. The truth might just surprise you. Number 7. Mercedes 600. Jack Nicholson's car collection is full of surprises, and one of the most shocking is his 1972 Mercedes-Benz 600. When most people picture the Hollywood rebel, they think of something fast, loud, and flashy. But this is anything but that. The Mercedes 600, with its luxurious size and understated elegance, stands in stark contrast to the hard-edged rolls Jack was known for. Manufactured between 1963 and 1981, the Mercedes 600 was considered the epitome of luxury. With a production run of just 2,677 units, it's a rare gem in the car world. This was the kind of car favored by world leaders, rock stars, and heads of state, built to impress without shouting about it. The car's size was massive, stretching over 6 meters long and weighing over 5,000 pounds. It's a rolling fortress of comfort with air suspension, leather interiors, and hydraulic mechanisms that made every button feel like it was straight out of a king's palace. So why would Jack, known for playing rebels and bad boys on the big screen, own such a regal ride? The story goes back to 1987 after filming The Witches of Eastwick, a horror comedy where Jack plays the devil. In the film, there's a memorable scene where the car gets wrecked, but Jack didn't just let it go. After the shoot wrapped, he took the actual car used in the scene and made it his own. It's hard to imagine the devil cruising in a car that oozed comfort and sophistication. But that's the thing. Jack wasn't just playing a character. The Mercedes represented a side of him that was unexpectedly calm, collected, and king-like. After his purchase, the car became a symbol of luxury and restraint, standing in sharp contrast to the edgy, rebellious persona we all associate with him. Today, the 600 is housed in a museum, attracting crowds who are still fascinated by the fact that this was the very car Jack himself drove. A Hollywood icon in a car fit for royalty? That's just the beginning of the surprises this collection has in store. Number 6. 1948 Chevrolet Fleetmaster. Next on the list is a ride that couldn't be more different from the Mercedes 600, the 1948 Chevrolet Fleetmaster convertible. It's raw, real, and embodies the gritty vibe Jack Nicholson often portrayed on screen. This car wasn't about luxury, it was about authenticity. Nicholson drove this car in The Two Jakes, 1980. A noir-style crime sequel where he starred as private detective Jake Gittes. The car's ruggedness mirrored the tough, no-nonsense character Jack played, adding an extra layer of depth to the film. The Chevrolet Fleetmaster was the epitome of post-war American design, a solid, dependable cruiser that could handle the rough streets of Los Angeles. With its rumbling engine and wide, simple lines, it perfectly matched the tone of the movie. Gritty, realistic, and a little bit worn down. The car was no showpiece, no polished classic that you'd find in a collector's dream garage. It was heavy steel, built to endure and handle life on the streets. But here's the real twist. After filming Wrapped, Jack didn't just let the Fleetmaster go. He decided to keep it, and eventually he donated it to the Peterson Automotive Museum, where it remains to this day. So why did Jack hang on to this old Chevy? It was a car that spoke to his personality, raw and real with a touch of nostalgia. The Fleetmaster wasn't about show, it was about presence. It wasn't about looking fancy, it was about feeling grounded and authentic. The car was tough, and in a way, it reflected Jack's no-nonsense approach to life and acting. This was a car that matched the energy of the movie, but more importantly, it matched the energy of Jack himself, a man who didn't need to flaunt wealth or status to make an impact. And if Jack kept a gritty old Chevrolet after filming, what other unexpected cars might he have chosen later on? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because the next car is even more surprising. Number 5. Jack's VW Beetle. If you think Jack Nicholson only drove flashy luxury cars or gritty street machines, think again. In 1969, Jack was spotted driving something completely unexpected, a Volkswagen Beetle convertible. This wasn't just any photo op, it was a real moment captured on the streets of Los Angeles, showing Jack laughing behind the wheel of the iconic little car. It was a far cry from the rough, intense characters he often played in Hollywood. In fact, it was a stark contrast to the typical fast sports cars associated with movie stars. This car, produced between 1938 and 2003, was known for its simplicity, quirkiness, and fun. It wasn't fast or flashy, it was about enjoying the moment and embracing the freedom of the open road. And that's exactly what Jack seemed to be doing in this photo. The Beetle wasn't a car to show off, it was a car to enjoy life in. For a young Nicholson, it represented a carefree time before fame and stardom took hold. It was a cheap, reliable, and fun car that allowed him to feel like an ordinary guy, something he didn't get much of after becoming a household name. The choice of the Beetle also says a lot about Jack's personality. Unlike many of his peers in Hollywood who chose expensive and extravagant cars, Jack's decision to drive a Beetle was a reflection of his personality, one that valued fun over status, freedom over appearance. The Beetle was quirky, unpredictable, and didn't take itself too seriously, much like Jack himself. And while it was far from the tough guy image that people often associate with him, the Beetle spoke to a different side of his personality, the side that appreciated simplicity, humor, and joy. Fans who saw that photo of Jack behind the wheel of the Beetle in 1969 weren't just looking at a Hollywood icon. They were seeing a glimpse into the real Jack, long before fame and fortune. It was a car that let him embrace the moment and live a little. And if that's the kind of car he drove when he was just starting out, what does it say about the other surprising vehicles in his collection? Keep watching, because the next one will flip your expectations yet again. Number 4. 1978 Hydrogen Chevy. Jack Nicholson's interest in innovation wasn't just limited to the silver screen. In 1978, he was seen driving a hydrogen-powered Chevrolet, long before the world started seriously talking about alternative fuel vehicles. This wasn't some ordinary car, it was a modified Chevy designed to run on hydrogen gas instead of petrol. At the time, this was cutting-edge technology, something most people hadn't even begun to think about. Jack, however, was already there. He drove the car in public and even talked about it on TV. On a show called Marketplace, Jack joked about the car's zero emissions, quipping that it could revolutionize suicide because instead of poisoning the driver with carbon monoxide, it emitted only water vapor. A steam bath, in his words. This offbeat sense of humor was typical Jack, but his interest in hydrogen fuel was anything but a joke. He was already thinking about the future of clean energy and sustainable transportation long before the rest of Hollywood or the world caught up. In the late 70s, the concept of a hydrogen-powered car was far from mainstream. The idea of hydrogen as a clean alternative to gasoline wasn't widely discussed until much later in the 21st century. Yet here was Jack, ahead of the curve, already driving a car that would today be seen as revolutionary. The hydrogen car was part of a broader vision of clean energy, and Nicholson was one of the few in Hollywood to embrace it. His willingness to promote a car powered by a solar hydrogen process, long before the world began talking about electric vehicles, shows a side of him that was deeply concerned about the environment. This wasn't just a car choice, it was a statement. It made Jack stand out from the crowd of Hollywood stars who were more interested in high-performance sports cars than in technologies that could change the world. If Jack had this kind of foresight in the 70s, it makes you wonder what other surprising cars he'd have in his collection. And that brings us to the next car, a true classic that's as elegant as it is unexpected. Number 3. Rolls-Royce Silver Wraith. When you think of Jack Nicholson, a Rolls-Royce isn't the first car that comes to mind. But there he was, seen driving a Rolls-Royce Silver Wraith on the streets of Rodeo Drive. The Silver Wraith was a symbol of British luxury known for its smooth ride, elegance, and understated power. It was a car that didn't need to boast. Its quiet confidence was enough to make a statement. But why would a man known for playing wild, unpredictable characters be behind the wheel of such a refined and elegant car? Rolls-Royces are typically associated with old money, aristocracy, and quiet wealth, exactly the opposite of the rebellious, edgy image Jack had cultivated in his film career. The Silver Wraith wasn't a car that made noise. It wasn't a car that shouted for attention. It was about quiet luxury, about enjoying the drive without needing to flaunt it. And yet, Jack chose it for his everyday drives, not for a red carpet or fancy event. Seeing Jack in the Silver Wraith was a surprising juxtaposition. It wasn't just about the car, it was about the man. This was Jack embracing the calm, smooth elegance of a classic luxury vehicle, far removed from the rowdy, high-energy roles he often played. It was almost as if he was exploring a different side of himself, one that valued comfort and class over flash and spectacle. The Rolls-Royce was more about personal indulgence than about making a public statement. It was about embracing the luxury of silence, of smoothness, and of understated power. This car, which you'd typically associate with a businessman or an aristocrat, was now part of Jack's day-to-day life. It raised an intriguing question. If Jack could embrace such a refined ride in real life, what did it say about his evolving tastes and the hidden layers of his personality? But the next car on the list might change everything you thought you knew about Jack's preferences. Number 2, 1935 Ford V8 Deluxe. If you want to talk about cars that reflect Jack Nicholson's gritty screen persona, look no further than the 1935 Ford V8 Deluxe convertible sedan. This car wasn't about luxury or flash, it was about substance. The V8 engine was one of the first affordable engines to offer real power, but the car itself wasn't flashy. It was practical, reliable, and had a rough around-the-edges appeal that perfectly matched the tone of the movie Chinatown, 1974, where Jack starred as the hard-boiled private detective Jake Gittes. In Chinatown, Nicholson's character was entrenched in a world of corruption, mystery, and danger. His Ford V8 Deluxe wasn't a glamorous ride. It was humble, understated, and perfectly suited to the gritty, morally ambiguous world his character navigated. It was a car that didn't need to be loud or flashy to make an impression. It made its mark by being real. The V8's simple design and powerful engine were symbolic of the character. Tough, reliable, and a little rough around the edges. Unlike the luxurious, polished cars that are often associated with Hollywood stars, this Ford was all about substance. It wasn't about showing off or making a statement, it was about getting the job done. Nicholson's choice to drive such an unassuming car in a big-budget movie was a testament to his commitment to authenticity. The Ford V8 Deluxe wasn't just a prop. It was an integral part of the story, helping to set the tone for the film and the character. Here's the question. Why would Jack, the Hollywood icon, choose such a humble ride for one of his most famous roles? The answer is simple. He wasn't interested in the flash. He was interested in the truth, both in his roles and in the cars he chose to drive. But what does this say about his car collection off-screen? The answer to that question is right around the corner, and it's bound to surprise you even more. Number 1. Hudson Commodore. To wrap up Jack Nicholson's unexpected car collection, we have the 1948 Hudson Commodore 8 convertible. This isn't just any classic car, it was a featured car in The Two Jakes, 1990, a sequel to Chinatown, where Jack reprised his role as the tough, morally complex private detective Jake Gittes. This car isn't about speed or luxury, it's about presence, history, and authenticity. The Hudson Commodore was a car from an era when vehicles were built with heavy steel bodies, running boards, and a design that favored sturdiness over flash. The 1948 model was a car that demanded respect, not because of its expensive features, but because of its history and its grounded, no-nonsense design. It was a car that felt lived in, with a long hood and worn leather that gave it a sense of age and character. Much like Jake's character in The Two Jakes, the car wasn't flashy or new. It had a story to tell, a history to carry with it. Why would Jack, the man known for playing characters with a raw, rebellious edge, choose a car that felt so grounded in the past? Perhaps it's because Jack himself has always had a deep understanding of the importance of history, whether it's the character he's playing or the car he's driving. The Hudson was a symbol of a different time, a more grounded, simpler era, much like the world Jack often portrayed in his films. And just like those characters, the car had seen some things. It wasn't pristine or shiny, it was real, it was worn, and it had lived through something. What's even more interesting is that the Hudson Commodore is a rare car today. Only around 35,000 of these vehicles were made, and even fewer convertibles remain. This rarity adds another layer of mystique to the car's appeal. It wasn't a symbol of wealth or fame, it was a symbol of something deeper, something rooted in the past, something that felt real and authentic. Jack's choice to feature this car in The Two Jakes makes perfect sense when you consider the nature of the movie. The film was a gritty noir detective story, and the Hudson, with its heavy, worn appearance, was the perfect fit. It was a car that didn't need to show off, it just needed to be present, to serve as a backdrop to the drama unfolding in front of it. What does Jack's choice to drive a Hudson Commodore say about him? It's about embracing the real, the authentic, and the grounded. It's about understanding that sometimes the most powerful things are the ones that don't shout for attention. The Hudson Commodore wasn't about showing off, it was about presence, and that's exactly what Jack's choice in cars says about him as a person. A man who, despite his Hollywood fame, understood the value of quiet strength and understated elegance. If any car surprised you on this list, drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're ready for more shocking car stories like this, hit the next video on your screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.